Beginning transmission 117. Usagi. File under Animal Farm.
Come on, you fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
Welcome to this week's episode of the Funny Books and Firewater Podcast.
面白い本と歌手ポッドキャストの今週のエピソードへようこそ。
Ignore her. She drinks.
Each week, a motley band of comic readers / amateur bartenders attempt to pair cocktails with comic books.
毎週漫画の読者の雑多なバンドはスラッシュアマチュア入札しようと漫画とペアカクテルバーです。
All while trying to not sound like complete morons in the
すべ
process.
ての中にしようとして音ではないような完了プロセスで低能です。
Kind of like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
You can find these idiots on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr.
Facebook、Twitter、Instagram や Tumblr にこれらのバカを検索できます。
No, what?
You read too many comic books.
We now join Brian, Jeremiah, Adam, and Todd.
They're used to curious sights which they attribute to alcoholic delusions. They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
I'm too sober for this shit.
I'm underqualified to be on this podcast.
No, that's
'cause that
okay.
seems
Well,
like
we're
a
not talking
fundamental
about
mistake.
Spider-Man this episode.
Really,
Yeah.
all it requires is to be able to be literate to be on this show. As we've proven.
Yay, literacy.
It's fundamental.
handy,
Literacy is overrated in this current political climate. So,
clearly.
True. Actually, my bio on my on the program for the theater company says that I read too much, and I talk about it on and list the two podcasts that I am on.
you list your two podcasts
I
in
do,
your
yeah.
bio?
It's
That is most excellent.
yeah. So,
So you're saying we're in a professional publication?
what I call it, a professional publication.
Well, we did get a shout out on the Salt Lake Tribune. Slight.
Slight, yeah, very minor.
We were listed.
We were
listed, yeah. We got a listing in the Salt Lake Tribune.
Yeah, they did link to our website. So to
They
be fair,
did.
They did link to our website and the right website even. So that's a thing.
So the Salt Lake Tribune is linked Funny Books and Firewater.
Yeah. So technically, we're now part of the press.
Oh,
Wow.
Makes me
I know.
all the more happy we support them.
It's true.
Yes, we recently got a Salt Lake Tribune subscription because they've been bleeding subscribers and we're voting with our dollars.
There you go.
I want someone in the state of Utah who's questioning the LDS Church. And doing research.
Why would
saying,
anyone do
we
that?
shouldn't
Because
do
the
that.
church is true. I know it's to be true. They are the gold
So
standard.
the guy who wasn't actually raised in the church on this podcast.
Actually, what's really funny is I read the Book of Mormon multiple times because I moved up here. Like, I need to know the religion. Right. And studying as much as I do, I actually end up knowing a lot more about the religion than some of my really devout LDS friends. Like,
That's always fun.
It's amazing how often that happens to be the case because the less they know, the easier to believe.
I've often said that if I would have known I would have become a spokesperson for the Mormon Church, I would have paid more attention when I actually lived here.
Right.
Because I get asked weird questions all the time, and I'm like, and it always starts out with this, like, okay. Well, so here's the thing, and then I have to start to explain something.
Horns on your head. Well, I remember
Yes.
when I first moved here, I worked at a manufacturing plant, and this guy who worked there, my buddy, was like, again, really devout LDS, like has a picture of the prophet above his computer to make sure he doesn't look at porn or anything. And he was telling me, current dude looks like Darth Sidious.
Every time I see someone with a temple screensaver, I'm like, oh, so you have a porn problem.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, he had a picture of a portrait of Jesus, of white American Jesus, and right. And the prophet, and then he was telling me that the way the church thinks you should fix gay people is gay people should go out and get married to a woman, and this was literally the day after the proclamation that don't fucking do that, like the whole like that will not change you, just be celibate kind of thing. And I was like, actually, just yesterday your prophet said this. He's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, I read the fucking news. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you should do that.
I also have examples of people who tried to do that too. Gay guy tried to get married. They got divorced shortly thereafter, and now he and his boyfriend live happily ever after in New York City.
Well, good for them. Oh, one of Kat's relatives or really close friends is dating a gay dude because he's trying to turn straight. I'm like, that's not going to work out, honey.
He's dating a gay.
She's dating a gay guy.
Oh, so if we're both married and gay together,
Well, no,
then...
she's not gay. She's straight, but he's trying to turn straight.
Oh.
So she's the beard.
Yeah, that
never ends well.
That tube leads to the fudge room. That's not how that goes. That's not how that's going to
That doesn't go to the marshmallow room. It goes to the fudge room.
And speaking of that, hey, welcome to episode 117 of the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. Hi, we're all live.
Oh, is this the show?
Depending on when I press the record button, yeah. It's just easier to do that way because I never know when we're going to actually loop into something interesting.
Sure.
So we're all live here. If you're listening to this, hopefully this one came out on time. I apologize. Episode 115 did not come out on time. I don't know if it's come out yet or not. We try to get these recorded before I started work. I am working roughly 20 hours a day, and I had basically, since I haven't really talked about it since we did the show, the first show we started went off the rails, like to a ridiculous level. Like they were canceling other show rehearsals so that they get this show up and running, and then everything's been behind since then. So it's been I just got my third show open 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
So I have one last show to do, which of course is the big, hairy, scary Macbeth. And then once that's open, we'll be good.
Are you still good calling it Macbeth when you're not?
I'm taking full advantage of it. Yeah, no,
Okay.
Because the story I always heard, for those of you who don't know, there is a theater superstition that you do not say the name of the Scottish play, which is Macbeth, in a theater. And so part of the rumor, I guess, is, or the story is that the Curse of the Three Witches do, I think it's in Act 3, the double bubble, toil and trouble and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to actually have some sort of curse in the theater, so you're not supposed to say it unless you're working on the show. And since I'm actually working on the show, I can say it. So I'm taking full advantage of saying Macbeth in the theater as much as possible, because other than that, I won't say it. It's also the same thing that's really weird is like you're not supposed to whistle backstage, and like but at my other location, it can sometimes be varied as to whether or not it's defined as a theater or not. How's that for vagaries?
There you go.
So I whistle there all the time, but I caught myself about to whistle in the theater. I'm like, oh wait, nope, that's bad.
Don't do that.
What I think is so funny is that everyone here, none of us are particularly religious, but at the same time, I was a theater kid growing up, and like we are the most
as well.
And we are the most superstitious group of people. Like, well, there's no reason to believe there's a theater ghost or that you whistle backstage is bad for you, but we won't fucking do it.
No, and I mean, I've had this conversation with a few friends. I've had definite weird experiences at the theater, weird things that I would typically call encounters with ghosts, but I still don't know if I believe in ghosts, which is really strange. Like I've definitely had some bizarre experiences. We were sitting around the theater the other day sharing all these bizarre experiences of this particular ghost that lives at the Lyric. His name is Everett. If you're ever up there, if you go into the side lobby, so if you go in the front door and go to your left, there's a lobby over on the side, and there is a framed picture above the piano that has a program in it. If you look at the second gravedigger, Everett Jones, that's the ghost who supposedly lives in the theater.
So what theater are we talking about here?
Old Lyric Theater in Logan, Utah.
Okay.
Which is where the Lyric rep works out of. But yeah, in that theater. Good to know you knew. You just wanted me to say it.
There's actually a really
I
fun found footage horror film called The Gallows, which is about like a theater ghost.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing film. It's so much fun, and it should have ended 2 minutes before it did.
Yeah. Kind of like the movie Signs. Like it was good until they saw the alien, and then you're like, oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
Or
like,
almost any novel written by Mark Twain.
Fuck Mark Twain.
I like Mark Twain.
No, I was thinking Dickens. I like Mark Twain.
Yeah, no, we read Dickens on English Class Hooligans, and we tried. None of us made it through. We all finished the Mark Twain, but the Dickens was a pain in the ass. Speaking of which, that's a good segue. We actually have on this show, we have almost all the English Class. We do have all the English Class.
You do.
I know, which is kind of weird. So Adam's now actually sort of the only funny books person here, but of course Adam has lots of other shows, which he will tell you about right now.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Adam, reviews editor for Big Shiny Robot. Trying to figure out what's going on with Andy with Bored as Hell.
Hi, Andy. What the hell's going on, Andy? Speaking of which, next month is going to be Andy Wilson month. He's picking out all of our books for us.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get him on the show as well, because if he likes the books, the text message I sent him was, we don't care what books you pick, it's your month. Just please make sure they're in print, because like Andy likes some stuff that's great, but hard to find. So
sure,
as long as it's in print, we're
He's
okay.
He's eclectic that way.
Andy is eclectic. We're all a little eclectic in our own little weird ways, but that's definitely one that's bit us before when Andy's recommended books. We're like, hey, looks like a great book. Shit, where do you find it?
Yeah. So do that, and then also I do Cinema Queens podcast with Chris.
Hi, Chris.
And I know this is the middle of July, but we last month we actually took the whole month to do Angels in America, which is we watched the HBO miniseries, discussed it like crazy. It was a lot of fun. And then next month we are both attending the Damn These Heels Get LGBT Film Festival, so we're going to be reviewing movies that
we see
there.
Or is that somewhere else?
It's at the Rose Widener downtown.
Oh, that's
cool.
So if so we'll be doing that, and he's been to a couple shows. We've never actually done a full-on like film festival experience where I'm like, no, you're going to sit your ass down and like watch 30 movies. Well, 11, so we only get 11 tickets, but it should be fun. So
awesome.
Now, are they all like independent ones, or are they new ones, or are they ones you've seen
before? They're all indie films.
And
they're new.
They're all new indie films.
So it's where you get the little pass. You get them like first, and then like they have like little like punches on them. Like you can watch like 10 movies. It's like
a Subway sandwich card.
Exactly. Yeah.
That works.
But
For
should be fun.
LGBT movies. Okay, well then also sitting next to Adam, which doesn't make any difference to you listening on it, but it makes a difference to me. We have the lovely, the talented, the Mr. Todd.
It is. Hi, it's Todd, and I am, of course, sitting adjacent to Adam.
Oh, you called me by my Christian name.
I did.
That's because his wife's sitting next to him.
Hi, wife.
Hi.
So I'm Todd. You can find me here on the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. I also do English Class Hooligans with Brian and Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I don't know if you know this, but we say hi to you on every show.
We do, yeah.
Excellent.
Sort of like Andy Wilson. We say hi to Andy, we say hi to you now. So
I'm as cool as Andy. I feel really notorious now.
I mean, Andy's pretty darn cool,
Andy
actually.
is pretty darn
awesome.
cool.
I said darn because Andy's a good Christian woman. I would say he's pretty fucking cool, but Andy wouldn't appreciate that.
You obviously haven't hung out with Andy enough.
You know what? That's true. I will say that I need to hang out with Andy more for sure.
I will say his panel on filthy phrases. What was that? Jeopardy?
Clean filth. Which I still have the
Clean
sound
filth.
clips on my phone because it's on a hard drive that I've been using at work.
Yeah.
And so I've been transferring files back and forth between like my computer I'm working on and the computer that's the show's run on, and I keep running into the files for clean filth. And I'm like, I could just drop some of these onto this. They're all clean, just for fun.
That'd be funny. That was a lot of fun, though. But yeah, so you can find me on these two podcasts. I float around in Salt Lake. If you see me, say hi. I'll look at you blankly going, no, you must think I'm somebody else. And that's fine.
He is who you think he
No,
is.
you got to pull the "Don't you know who I am" card.
He's super famous.
Don't you know who I am?
No, we might have picked up a few listeners from Lyric because people go, wait, you do a podcast? I'm like, I do too. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like there's one that's suitable for human consumption and one that, evil people like us listen to. So,
And also sometimes I'm Adams plus one.
it's true.
That
Yes.
happened the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just Adams plus one. That
Yeah.
works.
And Todd's plus one, our very special guest, the lovely, the talented, the wonderful Miss Amy from the English Class Hooligans podcast.
Hi.
So I can introduce you from somewhere now.
Yay!
Isn't that fun?
I have a tagline that goes with everything else. So, yes, I'm on English Class Hooligans, and I've been sitting next to Todd for 2 decades. Wow. Next week, yes.
We're old.
I know. When the heck did that
week.
happen?
Yeah, next
week?
apparently, Todd told me next week is the 20-year anniversary of your first kiss.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Kind of impressed that you know that
Kisses in
exact date,
college.
actually.
Well, it was on the hammock. Well,
Oh, my hammock in the basement? It's a sexy
backyard.
spot. I appreciate that. Yeah, good for you.
I know, right?
That was our second kiss.
That was
sweetheart.
the second. Yeah, the first one I pinned her against a car.
In a lovely mood.
Oh,
Consent-based culture.
Consent is key.
It was
Consent
not a
was
thing in
key.
1998.
That is a weird thing, though, because, like, there is the whole consent thing, but some women I know, including my wife, kind of like a little bit of, not aggression is the right thing, but
Dominance.
taking the first step. Assertiveness.
Assertiveness,
Is
yeah.
a nice way of saying it. But, like, it's such a weird, because, like, I'm almost a little overly cautious sometimes. I think it gets really frustrating for my poor wife.
I think
Sure.
that line is a tricky one to walk.
Just
Oh,
be
yes.
very assertive with your disclaimer thing to have people sign. Here, sign this. So,
Sign this so
PC
I can-
principal is the man.
Actually, Dave Chappelle did a skit about that on the Chappelle Show way back in the day about having her, sign a form, and then when he was done after 2 seconds, she had to sign an NDA.
That'd actually be awesome, actually. Yeah, there's a rumor. Not rumor.
They make an app for that.
They should. Yeah, no.
I think they do actually.
At work.
A
surprised.
consent app?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll look it up while you're talking.
Okay.
A consent
No,
app.
Oh,
At work, there's
I'm sure
a story
someone
that
has.
you can't swing a dead cat without hitting one of my ex-girlfriends where I work.
Mm-hmm.
Which, at the time when that was a phrase, is relatively true.
Right.
Because, oddly enough, for the evil corporation I work for, all of the girls that I've dated since I moved out of Utah, except for one, currently work for that corporation. Which is really weird.
Someone has a type.
No, because a lot of them I didn't date them while we were both
gonna
working for the
say.
company. Oh my gosh, there is a consent app.
It's called We Consent, and basically, when you do it, the person has to you actually record them saying their name and what they consent to.
Okay, but what about
You
the
really
whole
should have
thing
given this to
where-
those Duke college players.
Oh, dude, I was in North Carolina when that came out.
Yeah.
And we have the school I went to had a soundstage, and we'd do a party every year at the end of the school year, which is called Beaux-Arts. And it's basically we turn one of the sound stages into a giant rave, and the costumes. So imagine a costume party, then imagine a costume party with theater kids, and so the costumes were either like scantily clad or scandalous bad jokes. And there was definitely I had a friend who went as a drugged out sorority girl, and her date went as a lacrosse player from Duke. It was amazing. I won't say who it is, but she's a sound designer. She actually ended up marrying a roommate of mine from when I worked at a theater company in Vermont.
Okay.
She worked at that theater company the next year and ended up, falling in love with the drummer who was my roommate. And I think they live in New York now, actually. They were in Seattle for a while, but
Drummers are bad news.
yeah, no, that's 100% true. I completely agree with that. Yeah. I have a friend of mine who's a drummer for the show I did, who's one of those people who would send you these text messages and like you never quite knew if, like he had like sort of like he had a sense of humor similar to Adam's, except for the fact that you never knew if he was joking or not. Like I'd get text messages like after I got married saying, just because you're married doesn't mean we can't still fuck. And I was just like, I don't know. Like the thing is he would do that, male
Maybe
or female.
Not for you, but for me it does.
But male or female, like he would send dirty jokes like that all the time to whoever, and so it was like, I feel like I need an adult. So,
You need that app.
Yeah, he needs that app. That's for damn
What's
sure.
funny is in the description it specifically says this has no legal standing. And then at the end it says, oh, remember if they say no, it withdraws consent. So I'm like, well, then what the fuck is this app even for?
Yeah.
I was going to say, because there are situations where you think you're game for something and you get halfway in and you're like, no, I'm not.
That happened to me the other night.
No, I'm
we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Safe word is flugelhorn.
Flugelhorn.
That's from How I Met Your Mother.
Actually, mine is yeepers. No,
Yeepers? Yeah, but you might let that out actually. Yeepers?
Oh, did it to me, timber.
I'm just wondering if Maya heard that. Oh, by the way, Maya normally is on the show. He hasn't been fired. He's just busy. So
We miss you, Maya.
we miss you, Maya. We'll see you soon.
Hi, Maya.
You're in our hearts.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm Brian. Hi.
Hi, Brian.
I'm a sound designer based out of Southern California. I'm currently in Utah, which is where we all are right now.
Hey.
And when this comes out, the shows will still be running. So I did 4 shows for Lyric Rep. And a couple of them I'm pretty darn proud of, actually, to be honest with you. We did a musical of Great Gardens, which played, like, it was one of those shows like you're in rehearsal and you're like, I don't know how this is going to read for the audience. And the audience, at least the first night, found it funnier than I expected. Like they saw a lot of the humor in it. And it's sort of, it's not one of those like happy, cheerful musicals. It sort of ends on a, oh, that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Kind of ending kind of thing. Because it's about this really dysfunctional relationship between these two women. It's based on a documentary that came out in 1975, about 2 of Jackie Onassis's aunts who basically went a little crazy and a little hoardery, like their life got a little bit strange. So the first act takes place in like 1940 something, and then basically the second act is in 1975-ish, about when the documentary came out. And so it's like, so basically the set has to look all nice for the, like, prim and proper for the first act, and for the second act has to look like hoarders have lived in it for 20 years. So the scene change between Act 1 and Act 2 actually takes the full 15-minute intermission for them to switch everything over.
And everyone who has a free hand.
Oh, no, like literally my front of house engineer doesn't have to do it, but I have a board op who runs my sound effects. He has to press the last sound effect and then run downstairs, and the light board op has to run downstairs. Like everybody except for the stage manager and my front of house engineer has a job. Because my front of house engineer needs to be able to go down and fix mics if he has to and things like that. So, but I'm actually pretty proud of that one. It turned out really well.
Nice.
It also has the most complicated cue I've ever programmed in lyric history, at least for me, and I'm pretty certain because I know who else has programmed and designed there. It's probably the most complicated program, like cue that's ever been programmed there. You would never notice that cue was as complicated as it was, but it's really complicated. And then we also did a Sense of Sensibility, which was the show turned out good, but that was a clusterfuck that threw the entire season off. And then we did Peter and the Starcatchers, which is a prequel to Peter Pan, and then next week I open up Macbeth, the Scottish play, as we discussed earlier. They'll still be running when this comes out, so go check them out. Also, our old friend Twinkerbell, who we talked about this time last year.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a long story, but there was text messages going back. He still listens to the show, so hi Twinkerbell.
Hi, Twinkerbell.
I'll have to make a ringtone of us saying hi Twinkerbell, and I'll send it to you.
I would love that.
You probably would, but yeah, I won't say his real name. I won't out him that way, but hey man, how you doing, man? So anyway, so now that we're 17 minutes into this,
yes,
we are continuing on. This is our second week in our month of animal books. We are doing Usagi Yojimbo. Does that sound correct?
Sounds good
Usagi.
to me.
I believe it's Usagi.
Usagi Yojimbo?
Usagi?
I think so, yeah.
Usagi Yojimbo. Basically, this is a semi-independent book from 1986. It's a guy named Stan Sakai,
yeah.
who basically took, from what I read on the back, basically took a bunch of sort of Japanese stories of like 17th century samurai and things like that, and retold them in the form of a rabbit and a rhino and a bunch of other things. So
it's like Animal Farm meets Seven Samurai.
A little bit, yeah.
They look cuddly and behave horribly.
Yeah, it kind
of like me.
Yeah,
a little bit.
That's actually a very accurate description of you, Adam.
Little Usagi.
I'm going to start calling you Usagi, the cum dumpster.
Every now and then.
Adam is not laughing on mic, but he enjoyed that greatly.
You are blushing a bit.
I didn't know you could still do that.
I don't have a sword. I have to come back. I'll just
Yeepers. Anyway, moving on.
Oh God! I thought you guys saying it now.
Oh, that could cover so many things.
Simba.
I think I cut that out. Oh, I did cut that out because Maya asked me to. There was a great story from one episode that I cut out in the middle. If we ever had an outtake episode, that would be one of those things that would be amazing to put on it, but I couldn't do it. I'd have to change like the voices or something like that so we couldn't see it. Anyway.
Sure.
So we always have an argument over which one you do first, and I think we actually technically do drinking games first. Adam was convinced we did it otherwise, and then I had to rearrange my drops. But
yes.
So we're going to start out with drinking games.
And now for sports.
Listen up, sports fans. Prepare yourself and your liver for this week's drinking game. Remember, it's only a game, and a dumb one at that. So don't take it too seriously, and above all else, please drink responsibly.
Does anybody have one they're ready to go with off the top?
Yeah. So mine is Battle Cry. So every time Usagi Yojimbo, there's a big thing where he's like going, or making a cry that goes across like the whole panel of the page. Take a drink.
Cool. And Todd, do you have one?
Mine is called Off with Their Limbs. Because he's got a sword and it's similar to Adam's, but every time someone loses a head, a hand, something's going on, you need to go ahead and take a drink. Yes.
Amy, do you have one or do you want me to go ahead?
I'm going to go with Little Critters. So if you read the Little Critters children's books, the best part of those was finding the spider and the grasshopper on every page. Which apparently they've changed the grasshopper to something else. I'm like, sacrilege.
Why would you do that?
I don't understand this. Anyway, my nephews were trying to explain it to me, and I wasn't with them. This book, I kind of loved that there's these little dinosaur-y lizard things.
Oh, they're
all over the place. Yeah,
and I'm not quite sure what purpose they serve. I'm like, are you symbolic of something, or are you a little comic relief? I don't know. And then towards the end, they get a little carnivorous. They start eating things. They seemed really benign before, but anyway. Every time you find a little critter, you can take a drink.
When you were a kid, did you ever read the Prince What a Mess books?
No.
So it's about this like, I don't know what kind of dog it was, but he was like, had lots of fur and was tangled and got misadventures. But there was like all kinds of little weird shit in the background. I remember one of them, like he goes on a journey, and in every single page on the background, there's a little naked Laurel and Hardy going around doing like weird shit.
Was that just in your version of it?
No, well, I guess their books are really rare nowadays. I was looking it up, and they're worth good money. But I remember somewhere at my parents' house, I've got like all the What a Mess books because they were like my favorite thing as a kid.
No, I've never heard of them.
That's really interesting. It's weird those like things of like childhood that you totally missed. You know what I mean? But anyway, and my drinking game rule is I'm harnessing a little Destiny's Child. Mine is Say My Name, Say My Name.
Yes.
Which is every time he introduces himself.
Miss Vanjie.
Yeah, because he introduces himself in every fucking issue. And in a lot of cases also gives his backstory. But
right.
Yeah, so that's my drinking game. Okay, cool. So now is the special part of the time that it's Adam's favorite, I have to say.
It is Adam's favorite.
Hold up your phone for a second. No, the other side.
He's just pulling up the consent app. Just
no, it was not that. Like Adam, myself, and my dad all have like pretty much practically the same phone cover.
Yeah,
like,
UAG, Urban Armor.
Yeah. Anyway, we have this.
Well, because they're really lightweight and they actually do work really well to protect your phone.
I had an OtterBox, and this phone is so big to begin with because I have a 7 Plus or whatever. That with an OtterBox on it, like my hand was getting sore from holding the damn thing because it was like I had a small Zach Morris brick in my hand.
Hand was getting sore from holding it.
That's what I'm claiming. Anyway,
that's how my grandma died.
See, there's Prince What a Mess.
Oh.
Okay.
So we're going to do votes as to whether or not this is worth your hard-earned time, money. We all have busy lives. Some of us are more busy than others at certain points in time. But do we think, hey, you should actually pull this book up and read it?
Vote for Pedro. So I've been asked by the judge to be the foreman. Vote for Pedro. And I want y'all to know that we's gonna run a fair jury and a clean jury.
It's time for a vote. Because we love you. And we don't want to waste your money. We will now vote on whether this week's book is fit for human consumption by you, our dear listener. Along with each vote, our panel will also provide one piece of evidence to support their vote.
Vote for Pedro.
Do you expect me to talk?
Vote for Pedro.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. There is nothing you can talk to me about that I don't already know.
So we are going to go into votes. We will start with Miss Adam.
Oh, thank you. Yes, definitely.
Okay, Mr. Todd?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Ms. Amy?
I thought it was cute and fun, and I thought people find out that Todd does this, and then they always want a recommendation for a comic book their kid can read.
That's true.
And then Todd's always like, let me think for a second. And I feel like this one is one that you could recommend to kids, and they would like it. And it's nice to have a couple of those handy. I very much appreciate all the other things that are not kid-friendly.
Lunch Lady is also a good one.
Huh.
It's really fun. It's actually written for kids, but it's about a lunch lady who's actually a secret agent, and all of her like gadgets are like she has a helicopter made out of spatulas and like weird stuff like that. It's pretty fun. So actually, I've read the first one. I actually kind of like it. There was a Comic-Con panel a couple years ago that was best books you had never heard of from the last 30 years, and one of the women on the panel was a school librarian, and so she knew a lot of the stuff that was more appropriate for children. So
I
that
went
was on
to
the
a
list.
panel with her. She was really with it.
Yeah, she was really smart. Yeah, so she knew a lot of great stuff about it. But that was one of the books that I was like, this looks interesting. I had basically off that list. I started just going through it and reading all this different stuff, and a lot of the books that we've done on the show have some of it has been spawned off of that panel as well. So it'd be cool if they did that again, but
they should.
They should at some point in time. Maybe I'll have to pitch that. And my vote. Yeah, I liked this. I thought this was fun. My only caveat with this that I'll just give a heads up. A lot of the books we read have like an overall through line through the entire series. This has a little bit of one, but a lot of times it's little individual stories. So this actually would be kind of a great book to have like by your bedside table and like read one little issue a night before you fall asleep, because they're like pretty short, and then like there's a little bit of callback here and there. There's like there's a little story of him working with a bounty hunter that comes back towards the end, and that's the very last episode issue, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the very last one in this one.
They kind of pay that off, and there's we can discuss it after the break if we want.
Yeah,
but
after the break.
After the break. Okay, so I have a question after the break. Also, I don't know if I'm going to put it in here, if I put it in the beginning, but this is the time to say we are part of the launching of a new podcast network. So we are part of the Hello Sweetie podcast network. So you'll be hearing some little clips on our show for other shows. So go ahead and give them a check it out. They're going to do the same for us, sort of just like what am I thinking of?
Collective.
It's a collective, yes. It's like a nice little collective. We're all kind of like it's like an old web ring, as I described it. Like we link to them, they link to us. So and
what's really funny actually is the first promo running for Cinema Queens is the show.
I know, and I saw that picture. I didn't look. She posted the thing on Facebook. I didn't look to see who we were running first, but it might have been even.
I don't think it was Cinema Queen. I don't know. But we need to get them to get their promo to us. So we
already made our promo. It's around somewhere. But anyway, so we'll play a little advertisement. It'll either be at the beginning of the show or I might put it at the little break. Either way, we're going to take a little break here. And when we come back, we will spoil this. So this is your warning. If you want to read this yourself and don't want spoilers, which, to be honest with you...
You're listening to the wrong show.
You are listening to the wrong show. We're going to spoil the crap out of it. But also... You could read this book and have it spoiled and still kind of enjoy it a little bit. It's not necessarily like
it's not like there's like huge plot twists or anything else. It's just a fun book. So.
And to be honest with you too, there's so many little individual stories. I don't know how much we're actually going to spoil the plot. We're probably just going to do a general discussion of it. So if you want to listen and see what you think, you might be safe on this one. Just as a heads up. So I'm going to give you a spoiler warning in case you're really sensitive to spoilers, but that may not necessarily be the worst thing in the world. So we will see you on the flip side.
If you have yet to read this week's book and would like to read it now, press pause. Go ahead. We'll wait.
What are you watching?
Hey, what are you reading?
Tell me, what are you loving this week? What are you putting in your ears? Welcome to The Box. I'm Charity.
I'm Crystal.
I'm Rebecca. On The Box, we talk about all the media we love, old and new.
Here are hottest takes on the classic movies, new TV shows, our favorite podcasts, and what we downloaded this week.
Subscribe on iTunes at HSPN The Box or wherever you get your podcasts to hear us every week.
And don't forget, too much TV will rot your brain.
A proud member of the Hello Sweetie Podcast Network.
I was talking to the actor who's playing Macbeth, and he's originally from Detroit, but he now lives in California. He's going to UC Irvine. He's a grad student there. And I was like, and I started talking to him backstage, and I was like, "Oh, you live in California?" He goes like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I live kind of near where you live," because he's down in Irvine, and I live in Garden Grove.
Yeah.
That's a broad enough space, no one will find me. But but he was like, and we started talking. He goes, "Hey, man, is the altitude getting to you?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, you have no idea." It's like I've been like, because I was at the gym, and like I found this gym out here I've been going to, and they have been just like, these guys don't stop. Like they go hard the entire time, but it's been killing me. Like I'll get to the point I'm like, I was in pretty good shape before I came out here, but I cannot breathe up here. And then it was like, yeah, he goes, I'm constantly drinking liquids. It's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, dude, and here's the thing. I don't have to wear lotion in California. Out here, I'm dry as shit. Like I have to wear lotion everywhere. It's like, yeah, like we're having like this bonding moment of like, yeah, we're not built for California anymore. It's kind of, or for Utah anymore. It's kind of bizarre. So
you have acclimated.
I say Californicated.
Californicated, there you go.
Right.
I was talking to a guy from
chili peppered up.
Yeah, there's one winter we were working on a show in Indiana. I was working with a guy from Indiana, and we were both like, yeah, I grew up in cold weather, and after about 2 winters in California, man, I'm a pussy when it comes to cold weather. I'm like it gets below 60 degrees, and I'm like, I need a parka, man. It's cold as hell. Like it's just it's awful.
And see, I acclimated really fast to the weather up here.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think you can go. It took me about a year of like being in California. Like my first winter in California, I'm like, this is great because I'd been in Connecticut, and then I moved out in October, and so my first year.
So that was wet and cold in Connecticut.
Actually, Connecticut winters I think are worse than out here, to be honest.
Absolutely,
with you.
It's not very humid here.
Yeah, no, that and it's more humid in Connecticut too. Like,
right.
So like I hated those winters way more in Connecticut. This is weather talk, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, so what is that house you're looking at?
It's not a house. It's Splash Mountain.
Oh, okay. It looked like a house from this angle. I was like,
Yeah, that's the only ride. Whenever we go to Disneyland, that's like the only ride I don't go on because no matter what time of day or when it is, that ride line's like 2 fucking hours long.
Or it's closed.
No, you go in the winter.
Oh,
there's not a line in the winter because no one wants to get wet. I've gotten stuck in the ride before. I had to get out and walk out.
I've never had that experience.
I've had it in that ride. If I had it in another ride, I think that's the only ride I've ever actually been evacuated off of.
All right.
But yeah, no, but it. There's actually a great, I think it's off maybe his first album, maybe second album, Gabriel Iglesias, routine about that, about how basically him and like one of his other very large friends decided to flash the camera as they're going down Splash Mountain, and they held their shirts over the thing, and when they went down, the photo had been censored, and like security pulled them aside and basically said like, if you see those 2 large women, you let us know. And they go, oh yes, officer, we will.
Oh my
like,
God, that's hilarious.
Because he said something. He goes, one thing I didn't realize is that if you're as large as a friend of me and my friend, and you pull up your shirt, you are a couple of sexy bitches. So yeah, there's also a really great, since we're talking about Disneyland, there's also a really great Patton Oswalt routine about the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, where like you put like little kids can put their hand on thing and it'll give them their spirit animal, and one of them is a skunk. He's basically like, yeah, Disney just knew that they were going to need artists to do things in the future, so they need to destroy like every 15th kid's entire life by having them become a skunk. He's like, oh, you're going to work here someday, enjoy. So
I would love to have a skunk as my spirit animal. Be like, oh, fuck you.
Well, we had that whole conversation about the weird guy who was, I felt like the Cat and Pepe Le Pew cartoon, man. Like that guy was like staring at me like it was like one of those prison movies where like the gay prisoner like sees the fresh fish coming through, and I was like, look, that guy was looking at me like, oh shit, like it was that was really creepy.
I know we're doing tangents, but you heard about the Supreme Court ruling, right? With the gay guy who was so this gay guy was a horrible person. He murdered someone,
all right,
and he was up for either the death penalty or life in prison without parole. The jury chose the death penalty because they thought if a gay guy went to prison, he would enjoy it too much because he'd be raped.
Oh shit!
And the Supreme Court didn't overturn that. They actually said, "No, we're not." And this is with Kennedy still.
Moment in American history.
This is with Kennedy on it still, so we're fucked when the new person gets in there.
Super weird.
But yeah, they said like no, like that bias that was fine because like I'm. So comic books.
Comic books. Bunny rabbits.
We're not often in
limbs.
the same room, so now like we're in the same room, we're having all the weird conversations we normally would.
Do you know how hard it is to text those kind of conversations back and forth?
I know, it really is. Like
we
that's
give
the
it
thing.
a try, and we're like, this is messed
and then
up.
it just devolves into memes.
Well, that's also part of the reason why we have these horrible conversations on air too, and then we have to edit them all out because it's the only time we actually get to talk. So
yep.
If you think the shit we say on the air is horrible, you should hear the stuff I have to cut out.
Actually, the only thing I've ever had to cut out of my other podcast is just accidentally using where we work, because that happens every so often. And then Chris was talking about a guy he was dating and wasn't quite ready to have that out, and I'm like, that's fine. That's
Sure.
But everything else is fair game, and yeah.
No, and I mean, we have normal day jobs. It's not like we're
We
actual
do.
celebrities or anything like that. So it's kind of like like to have at least a little bit of privacy.
This isn't paying the bills?
No, I wish. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd quit my other job if this paid the bills, though. I might actually, depending.
I think it would depend on how many bills this pays.
That's true.
I mean, it's just like go out and make it rain type style, or just like, okay, I can eat ramen for the next week.
I would love to get it to a point where it just actually paid for itself. Like that would be awesome.
That would be nice.
That would be that's the next goal at some point in time. So.
I know a lot of potters that's their goal. I'm like, if you cover the cost of my kiln fees and the clay, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think there's I know a lot of fighters as well that they work at the gym enough to cover their basically their mat fees and stuff like that, so they can go train and stuff like that. So, actually, fun story for you two, because you might be coming out with us.
Yeah.
A friend of mine might be having a pro fight while you guys are in California, and I might go. So if you guys want to go to a minor league UFC fight, oh come on, Amy, don't just tap Todd. You know you want to come.
This sounds like napping moment.
Well, it will be in the evening, yes. But yeah, so if you want to go to it is technically a pro fight, but it's not like it's like. I don't know what level it is, but it's not UFC, that's for sure.
It's the good for you level.
I mean, it's the guys trying to get their record up and do all sorts of stuff. But yeah. So
Okay, cool. I'd be game.
So yeah, I might drag Todd to a UFC fight, which will be fun.
No, it'll be good times, watching people beat the crap out of each other.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, actually, and that kind of parlays in. So basically, we have the story of Usagi Yojimbo, who basically... Usagi.
Drink, you fucker.
Drink, fucker. I don't have my drops on this since we're not using that program. I have to put them in after the fact. So the general gist of it is that he is a roaming warrior who his master was killed in battle, was unable to protect him. So basically, he just kind of wanders town to town. It's almost sort of like what was it, Kung Fu? Was that the TV show?
Yeah.
Where he just wanders around. And so he just sort of like gets into these little adventures, and he helps out these people here and there. And sometimes he helps out the wrong person and ends up accidentally stealing a horse,
right?
Which is actually kind of funny. But he steals a horse and then finds out the guy he stole the horse from was a dick to the poor people. So he gives the poor people the horse and says, "Okay, here, have it. Take your cart. Enjoy." And there's another little thing of like he ends up helping out he ends up becoming the bodyguard. That's basically what he ends up being. Yojimbo actually means bodyguard, from what I learned from this book.
Usagi means rabbit. Or Usagi.
Does it really?
Yep. What's up, rabbit?
So it's rabbit bodyguard. Nice. Well, that's a little on the nose, but I didn't realize that. But okay.
It is the Japanese.
I'm learning some Japanese. Well, I didn't read that part.
Was that part in the intro as well?
Well, I didn't read the intro. I've been really busy. I didn't have time.
A couple of the characters' names are literal translations of the animal manifestation.
That's kind of a bummer, actually. I kind of like. I don't know. I get it, but
it's
I don't
always
get it.
Usagi to you.
I know, but it's just like I guess it's one of those things like because when we read Death Note,
right?
Kira, the character is sort of like it's a translation of a bad Japanese pronunciation of the word killer.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like oh, okay. So it's sort of like it's actually sort of a. I mean, it was written that way by the Japanese, but it's actually sort of a little bit of a racist translation that way. But that's okay.
What a terrible Netflix show.
Oh my god, so awful.
I haven't watched it.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Because I started watching the anime.
No, the animes are great. The anime is amazing. I totally recommend the anime. And the anime is really true to the book. It's really fun. I really enjoy it.
Well, and I was really sad too because like Willem Dafoe is like the perfect voice for that character.
Oh, he's a great voice, but the way they did that character is terrible. The character of Light is obnoxious as shit. Like I basically, because Jess watched it and she was like, okay. Just watch until what's the name of the demon shows
Ryuk?
up? Ryuk, yeah. Just watch till Ryuk shows up, and I saw Ryuk, and I was like, "Oh fuck this!" And she's like, "Yep, that's all I need to see." It was like it doesn't get any better from there, and I was like, "Okay," like, yeah, that was just disappointing because like it was like the deaths in it was very Final Destination. Like,
absolutely,
it was really lame. Anyway, yeah, that was
not good. Netflix.
Yeah, no, that was a definite miss, but. You know, that's how it goes.
Right. All right. Back to the bunny rabbit.
Back to the bunny rabbit. So, so anyway, so yeah, he ends up bodyguarding for this rhino who is a bounty hunter.
Right.
And then, of course, the bounty hunter... It's so basically, this is the weird little gag we're talking about, where the bounty hunter pays him, like the 50 yen or whatever he owes him, and then as soon as he pays him, he walks away, and the guy who, from the restaurant they've been hanging out the whole time, shows him, says, hey, by the way, your bill is $50, so he basically got nothing. And
the other guy said you were going to cover it.
Yeah, the other guy said he was going to cover it. So basically, Usagi does the exact same shit to him at the end of the book.
Like the very last issue, which was hilarious.
But the one thing I do want to bring up on this is, did anybody else notice how many of these issues ended with sort of a dad joke? Like, they all have like sort of a dad joke kind of humor thing towards the end of a lot of them. I don't know if anybody else noticed that or not, but I'm trying to remember some off the top of my head, but they sort of end in these weird little like puns and things like that.
Yeah, some of that's going on. I really enjoy reading the art. Let's talk about the art for a moment as you're looking for your dad joke.
Yeah, because there's one that they like. The whole thing was. Oh yes. Okay. I found the dad joke.
Do it.
Because there's a spirit that he's like. There's this woman that he was fighting for, or whatever, and her name was Gone, and it basically leads up to a Gone with the Wind joke.
Yeah.
That was at the very end. I was like, oh god. No. Super punny.
I am sad to say I did not catch that.
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
like the very last panel.
That's a nice little gem there. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, it's
No, I totally know what you're talking about now that you mention it.
It's the end of issue 6.
But I didn't catch the pun in there.
Well, it's like the end of issue 8 when he cuts off the nose of the blind pig.
Right.
And then
why does everything smell like pine?
He has a wooden nose replaced on him. Like, oh god,
that's pine scented.
Like that's what I'm talking about. Like there's weird little dad jokes sort of at the end of everything.
Sure. It's funny. It made me laugh. It's it's got serious moments. It's got funny moments going on. The artwork is really clean and its style or whatnot. It doesn't feel like it's rushed or when I say rushed, it's not unfinished, but it's very much being what it's shooting out.
Yeah, and it is a black and white book, which honestly I don't think I would want a colored version of it, because it needs. We said before, it's retelling of like these old fairy tales and like their kind of their fables, like their version of Aesop's fables.
Right.
So it feels like it. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing one in color, but it kind of feels like black and white is right. But what's so great about the art was that even though this came out in the 80s, it doesn't feel dated at all. I feel like this is something that we could have just drawn 2 days ago.
Right.
It's a brand new thing that just hit the market, and it feels just as fresh and relevant as it did back then.
My only thing about the art is there's a few of the battle scenes that I think having some color in it would help. Like there's a few that got just visually confusing to look at how he was moving.
Right.
He moved so quickly and things like that. That's the only thing. I guess it's my only critique of it. Like some of it's built to look like a cartoon of like him just going crazy, but there's a few where like tracing the action or seeing the characters because of the black and white and because there's not a lot of shading too. It's very
It's very minimal.
It's very minimal. Very cartoonish is sort of the right word, but that's I think mainly because it's animals. You know
right.
what I mean?
It's a little bit like funny books, funny papers, Sunday comics.
I was going to say, I thought it had a very Sunday comics feel too.
Yeah.
So here's a question I'd like to pose because it is a children's novel, and because there is,
Is it intended for kids?
It is. It won the Parents' Choice Award in 1990.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking at like the mass scene where it's page 56 and he's just committed carnage all over the place.
A lot of carnage.
A lot of carnage. And so the question I'm posing is if it were in color, would that be more graphic? Like, are they minimizing some things there?
Yes. Well, that's actually so. In the movie, the first Kill Bill, the one where she goes and kills the 88s, that scene originally was in color, and the reason why it went black and white was because they got an NC-17 rating, and the only way they were able to get the R rating was to change that all to black and white, so it wouldn't be like just blood everywhere.
Well, it's also kind of why in this second Evil Dead, they use all sorts of random different colors for blood because it's so over the top. I mean, they're literally like fire hoses of blood, but they made it green and they made it.
And that's how Drag Me to Hell got a PG-13 rating because they made all the blood into puke.
Yeah. So.
I think to what Amy said. Yeah, I think it probably would not be as appropriate for children or younger audiences if we actually had full color or just gore everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. But it's still fun. I mean, it's kind of cool. And it's kind of cool to get that sense of other cultures, fairy tales, and things like that.
Sure. I mean, the lead characters look cuddly, and yet they are prepared to be violent when deemed necessary.
Have you ever seen Cat Shit 1?
No.
You ever heard of this thing?
No.
It's a little digital short, and it's a military operation in the desert. Like, it looks like it's something right out of like Desert Storm, but it's with 2 bunny rabbits, like these cute little digital bunny rabbits who are killing the shit out of everything in front of them. Like,
awesome.
And they swear like crazy, and they have like these machine guns. Like, and I got it because I heard about it somewhere random, and I got it, and I was like, it was kind of fun. It's not one of those things I normally recommend to people because it's one of those like. Yeah, I've seen it. Like, and it was kind of okay. It's like okay for one watching it. It's one of those. I bought it. I'll probably never watch it again. But if it was on like YouTube, it's one of those like kind of funny, interesting things. It might be on YouTube. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that where it's like these cute little cuddly bunny rabbits just massive carnage. Because there's also really kind of a fun one where they're all like he's in a bar and like they're all giving him shit, and he stands up, swings his sword around, and they all laugh at him, and then all of a sudden they realize he's cut all the flies in half.
Yeah,
and then they're all hiding outside, you know, being like, oh shit.
I think that one was called A Quiet Dinner. That was the name.
Yeah, because he just wanted to be left alone for
just
dinner.
leave me alone.
Yeah. So
don't we all have that moment at the end of a long workday?
Yeah.
I kind of thought it reminded me a lot of the Brer Rabbit tales, like
racist.
less of that, but and
just a little bit.
And
Speaking of Splash Mountain,
yeah, that's why I was looking it up. But Malcolm Gladwell wrote I think it was Malcolm Gladwell, I might be wrong, about a good essay about the purpose that's served within a culture, and that it were kind of folklore stories about you may not necessarily win in this era and this time through brute strength or through rights or basic or human decency towards each other, but sometimes if you're more clever, sometimes like this is how you work the system. And a lot of the stories have, and so like, does this carry the racial and cultural connotations? No, not at all. But it does have a very, like the trickster rabbit, the way he cleverly gets himself out of the situations is probably one of the things that I enjoyed the most. Like there's always, in each of the little chapters, there's a teeny plot twist where you're like, oh, and he just solves things in a clever way. Like, I mean, you've gotten story after story after story where he just chops everybody off, and then you get to the one where he's not like he's mad, but he's not that mad, so he just kills all the flies instead, and then they're terrified that he flips the sword around and killed all the flies, but nobody was hurt. So a lot of them have he tricks people into different things at different moments, and sometimes he's the one who gets tricked, and sometimes not.
I think my favorite line with the fly killing is like, he filleted this one.
Yeah.
And you're like, he filleted a fly? Wow. You know, and so he goes in and he's like this ultimate killing machine, and yet there is one episode where he is injured and someone else from a previous one comes in and helps him out. He probably wouldn't have made it without that help.
No, and it does show that like your good deeds will come back to help you out again in the future.
Right. And he's not this unstoppable Superman type character. He's really very good. However, he does have weaknesses, and even this shows it. So we're reading right now the first volume. How many volumes?
In the back of the book, they have up to 23.
23 volumes.
And then you got
Space
Usagi and Yokai. So there's 25 books total.
At least in the back of our copy. There might be more since then.
Yeah. According to Wikipedia, it's still in publication.
Yeah, it looks like 1 through 7 are Fantagraphics, and then 8 through whatever it's switched over to Dark Horse.
I think when I'm on Big Shiny Robot, I remember because way back in the day, I used to do a lot of transcriptions when we would do interviews with people because I was actually really good at it. And Brian Young, the editor of Chief back then, interviewed Stan Sakai and just was talking about the background, how it came from. I think it's on Big Shiny Robot. If you get a chance, go check that out because it was a really fascinating interview. And this is before I even knew what this was. I had no clue that it was about a Ronin rabbit or anything else like that. But what I loved about it so much is I'm a huge fan of like the old school, samurai martial arts movies. And my favorite movie of all time is Seven Samurai, which if you checked it out, pretty much influenced every movie ever since. Like it's
sure.
And it's also a big influence on Star Wars as well.
A huge on Star Wars, yeah. And if you've seen A Bug's Life, the Pixar movie, that's the kids' version of it. So the idea of like the masterless samurai and this and that already appeals to me. So it's kind of one of those books where I'm like, why didn't I read this earlier? Like I knew I would enjoy it, and it reminds me of like we said Kung Fu and like the classic. You really get that the feel you get from those classic samurai movies that from the 50s and 60s especially. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like it's definitely one that I'm like, okay, I need to go read more now because I'm invested.
And I think going back again, what's so great about it is even reading through this is it came out in 1986. And once again, this could have been the subject matter and the way it's been approached and executed is it's not stuck in a time frame. I don't feel like I'm reading an 80s publication at all.
I think it's because of the time frame that's set in, which I mean is essentially what the Japanese version of like King Arthur's court, or I mean that's their medieval kind of chivalry kind of thing is the Bushido Code and all that kind of stuff. I said that right?
Yeah, Bushido
Code.
Oh, look, I got one right. Hooray for me!
No, all of us have to drink.
Yay! That'll be fun. I mean, there's something fun about that, but yeah, it doesn't feel dated at all. Like it could have come out like a month ago, and we all would have been like, "Oh, okay, cool." You know what I mean? But yeah, the other thing about it is that because it's enough of a unique idea to have this rabbit telling ancient tales and things like that, like it stands on its own. You know, it gives it a timeless factor of it. It could, you know, it could come out whenever.
It's brilliant.
The historical context, the trickster element, the fairy tales, because it's kind of it's a fairy tale, but it's more edgy. I think there's a lot of beautiful things crafted into it. It's a joy to read. It's just kind of fun.
It's good, and you know, it's got like the grimness of it. We talk about fairy tales, and there's a Disneyification of, oh, look how sweet and fun and just slight, just a little bit of danger maybe. But you take a look at the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, and a lot of danger.
You know what's
and
even
everything
more funny
going on
is when Disney-fies itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Song of the South?
That, or the other one I think is really interesting is the Little Mermaid ride. Ursula doesn't die in it.
No.
They took out the death of Ursula. When you're leaving that ride, she's angry in the corner because they got married, but they completely skipped over the plot of her dying at the end of it, like of him killing her. Yeah, they took it out entirely.
Oh, you're right. They did. When we were there last time, it was like super fucking hot. We just wanted to get out of the sun, so we actually. I didn't hopped on that ride. I didn't even know it was there.
Ride.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I love Little Mermaid. So, but yeah, I realized that they didn't. They just like, oh well, she can't die.
So what are we gonna drink?
Okay, well, so I'm gonna start with my drink. This is horrible, but this is what came to my mind. I'm warning you now. I don't know if this is gonna be good or not, but this is from an episode of The Office called Benihana Christmas Parts 1 and 2.
Oh no!
And this is Andy's cocktail that he orders at Benihana.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
And the joke is, he orders a Nagasaki, which is half eggnog, half sake, and he goes, "Some places won't make it for you." And then like you're thinking because it sounds horrible,
terrible,
and then he goes, "Because eggnog is seasonal." And we're like, "Well, no shit, Sherlock." But anyway, so it's a reference from The Office because like outside of reading comic books, The Office is almost always on a constant loop in my house. In fact, I have my iPad and I'm staying at my parents' house. I just put The Office on to fall asleep to, like just naturally is just what ends up happening. So that's mine is the Nagasaki. If it's terrible, I apologize now, but I saw it on The Office, so I thought it'd be fun. So, Mr. Adam, do you have a cocktail?
Yeah, so mine is just called the Ronin. And it's 3 ounces of chilled sake, 1 ounce of cranberry juice, 2 lime wedges. So you squeeze 1 lime wedge into a mixer with the sake and cranberry juice, shake the shit out of it, strain over ice, top with Sprite or 7-Up, and then garnish with the last lime wedge.
Mr. Todd, do you have a cocktail?
Mine is actually called the Swooned, and what this is...
Swooned? S-W-O-N-D?
Yes!
As in like sword wound or something? Or
swooned.
Or like you swooned as if when Amy walked in the room, you swooned.
Well, we swoon for each other.
Oh.
I swoon, you swoon, we all swoon.
Right, now do past and future tense.
Yep, I put my hand on my hip. When I swoon, you swoon, we swoon.
God.
Thank you. But
that was the sound of a disappointed wife, by the way.
No, he's
way
funny.
Too often.
Todd's funny. He keeps me young.
So this is a zucchini sake drink.
Okay.
So is what's going on here. So what it is you need a 1/4 cup of zucchini water. So you shred a bunch of zucchini and then you put it in cheesecloth and you just squeeze the shit on that cheesecloth until you get moisture coming out of it, and you keep doing that until you get a 1/4 cup of the zucchini water moisture. So then you go ahead and you're going to add 2 tablespoons of a lemon simple syrup. So that's just simple syrup with an extra lemon juice added into that, and then it's a 1/4 cup of sake. So you're going to shake the shit out of it, just put it into a small glass, put in a little bit of ice, and you can go ahead and garnish it with a strip of zucchini. So it's this fresh, biting, peasant-like drink.
Yeah, that's kind of cocktails I like, the refreshing sort of...
Yeah, I mean, zucchini water is good.
Yeah,
actually, it sounds pretty good.
A lot of my favorite cocktails have cucumber in it, which is not too dissimilar, you know.
Right.
If only Mormons drank, because every Mormon I know
has so many zucchini
this time. Well, we're about a month off of true zucchini season, but they're always looking for something else you can do with the zucchini.
Well, you make zucchini bread. That's like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, but you can only do like 8 loaves a week. It's a little much.
So this is a very inside Mormon joke.
Right.
But my dad said that when Mormons go to church, they have to lock their car, because if they leave the car unlocked when they come back at the end of church, they'll have zucchini left in their car for them.
When I was a kid, we used to leave a zucchini on other people's front porches and doorbell ditch them all the time because there was just a lot of stuff.
Evil person.
Yeah, everyone North Carolina, what was it? It was there was another vegetable that grew like a weed out there.
Rutabagas.
Wasn't Rutabagas. It was a weird name.
just
I'd
love
never heard of it
saying that
before. Although when I did live in North Carolina, I became very adapt to the taste of fried okra.
I love okra.
I've only had fried okra like one time.
You can even really go in. You can get pickled okra spears. They're not bad.
Todd will snack on that and sardines.
Ew.
The sardines is you, but
no.
Anyway,
okay.
Amy, we're throwing you under the bus because you were asked to join us at the last minute. But do you have a cocktail?
I do. It's
Thanks
called
to
the
Magical
Smiling
Phone.
Rabbit.
You text that to me, by the way, or email that to me when you're done.
Happily. Thanks to the fine. It's kind of cute. They've garnished it with 2 little pineapple leaves. And it looks like little rabbit ears. It's got a nice yellow look. So it's got some mezcal in it, lemon juice, a little bit of pineapple cinnamon syrup.
It's got a Suiza Partif and yellow chartreuse in it as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we'll have the actual ingredients and list on our website. www.funnybooksandfirewater.com. Probably /blog, I think is normally where they show up at, unless I've changed the name of it.
/blog. We have a blog?
Yep. Well, that's where we put all of our... We have a blog, yeah.
/blog is coming to Warped Tour this year.
Yeah.
You're a blogger.
It was the last year of Warped Tour.
I know. I had a very long conversation about that with somebody one day.
No more Warped Tour. That's where Brian and I used to go, and you saw all the cute girls holding hands with the other cute girls.
It was really depressing.
That was a rough time. But that's also where I saw Eminem and Ice-T.
Yep, we did.
Yeah, this was back when Hi, My Name Is was
when
the single.
Eminem first came out, he toured on Warped Tour, and Todd and I we'd heard of Eminem, but we really wanted to go see Dr. Dre.
Right.
And Eminem wasn't very good.
No, he wasn't good at the time.
At the time, and he's gotten a lot better, so I'm not dissuading people from going to see Eminem, but at the time he was not great, and we really kind of just went to see Dr. Dre. So we sat through 2 songs and went, okay, we'll go back to the other stage.
But at the same time, it's like, have you seen Eminem? Yeah, I saw Eminem. You saw Eminem.
Yeah, we paid $20 for him and saw like 40 other bands as well.
That's right.
Actually, the new artist I'm into, have you heard of Watsky?
No, I haven't.
He's a spoken word poet, and then kind of ended up becoming like a rapper type thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's really, really good, and he started out when he was like a kid. Now he's like in his 20s, but
so old.
I know, so old. But check out the song "Sloppy Seconds."
The weird music I was playing some for Todd yesterday that I've been into. I've been into it for a little while, but I'm basing part of my sound design on it. Is a group called a tribe called Red, and they are DJs that remix Native American songs.
Oh.
So like I think my favorite song, and if you like look them up on Spotify, it's the first song that pops up. It's called Electric Powwow. It's pretty cool. And then there's also one that has like here, maybe I can find it real fast because I would find it for Todd. Because it's interesting stuff. So I'm basing. You'll hear it and you go, I don't know where you're gonna pull sound design out of that, but this is the one it's called Sia, and this is one I'm hoping to base something off of for when the 3 witches show up.
Did my voice make it in to Macbeth?
I would need to edit it in.
Okay.
So I'm gonna turn it up real fast. It gets there.
Yeah, it's working on it.
Waiting for the bass to drop.
Yeah, it's
I like
interesting
it.
stuff. Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, there you go. There's your weird random music recommendation for the day.
Sure.
I don't know how we got to that point, but yeah, we did.
There we go.
But yeah,
Warped Tour. That was my fault.
That's right. Yeah, /blog is playing on Warped Tour. That's
Blog.
Right. Sorry, Amy. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm good.
Okay.
Then your drink too.
Did I get my? I did. No, I gave my drink.
You did?
The Nagasaki.
Oh,
the Nagasaki.
I intermixed it with a conversation about the TV show. The
That's
Office,
right.
Saga, sake and eggnog. Ugh.
That's better than Kahlua and gin.
Well, gin's not great.
Watch your whore mouth. I like gin. Who was I talking to who actually has had allergic reactions to gin?
Oh.
Like their lips get all like weird and tingly and whatever.
It's a little too floral. It's I'm drinking liquid potpourri.
Or it's the juniper or whatever that they're allergic to or whatever.
It's
probably the juniper. Yeah.
Because I think I asked them if they could drink vodka and they were fine on vodka because I mean that's basically gin is vodka with juniper infused in it. That's basically all
it's spiced shit. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like gin actually. I know I'm alone in that for the most part.
I like gin.
I like gin.
Yeah. Just Todd then, huh?
You're not a gin guy.
But here's the thing. Gin is one of those things. It's also like tequila. Either people like it or they don't. There's not a lot of in-betweens on it.
See, I like tequila.
Yeah, and I don't do tequila.
I hate tequila.
I don't
like
fucks with
tequila.
the tequila. No, tequila, I don't particularly care for the taste of it, and I've also had the worst experiences drinking has been involved tequila. Like, I think also tequila is one of those things you drink until the point where you puke and then you never drink it again, if you can possibly avoid it.
No, the smell of tequila will make me want to throw up.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a lot of tequila.
Yeah, I don't.
And you're gonna.
There's that one really good tequila I poured for you that one time.
Yeah.
The poor time that Todd was over visiting me, and I just kept having. I didn't think about how much alcohol I was giving him. I just had to taste all this different stuff.
Oh, try this, try this.
And I probably gave him like 14 shots.
Going through, and I'm like, how's that? Life's pretty good.
I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, here, try this. Oh, here, try this. Because I wasn't drinking as well because I had to go to work. But
I was sure enjoying myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I came home. He was snoring like a log. I don't even think he had his shirt on. He was like laying on the couch and passed out.
We're old.
We are. It's awesome.
He used to be much more fun drunk. Now I'm like, I'm tired.
He was nice to you when he was drunk. He was kind of an asshole to everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that falls into the I love you in spite of category.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Anyway, well, so cool. Does anybody else have anything they want to discuss in this book before we go into final grades?
No, I mean it's a pretty base. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about what you said with the culture and the history and everything, but all in all, the stories are pretty basic. They're like they're kid stories, they're fables.
Yeah.
So.
Excuse me. Yep.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot of cultural references and things that I'm not getting because I'm not familiar enough with. To rabbit symbolize this or panda symbolize that, or because there are certain characters that tend to be a rhino's a certain type, and all the people who wait on people in restaurants and lodges and such happen to be the little panda bears, and just there's different characters that tend to be typecast, for lack of a better word. And reading it, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a connotation there. So
it might be. Yeah, I mean, the other thing, I noticed this, I think, when Todd and I were watching a lot of anime in school. Todd may still watch more anime, but I don't really watch a ton.
I don't watch that much anymore. I watched Akira again the other day.
Yeah.
And that holds up beautifully. It's awesome.
But there was a thing I noticed on a lot of the really good Japanese anime. There was almost always a reference to the atomic bomb being dropped.
Yeah.
Like you'd see that in a lot of them. It was like it was a very obvious cultural touchstone. I think the closest thing America had before 9/11 was the Kennedy assassination, and then after that, I think now it's the 9/11. Like there's, it's not as prevalent, I think, as the Nagasaki stuff was, but like you will see
that
every so often.
Now I say I'm not doing as much anime, which might be true, but I am wearing a Cowboy Bebop T-shirt as we're recording.
Like you do.
I do.
And he has a great print of Ed smiling over back in his office.
That's awesome.
Which, as Amy pointed out, there is no one in the world as happy all the time as Ed.
Ed is pure joy.
The
embodiment of joy is Ed.
Yeah.
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
I've seen a couple episodes, but I've never actually seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
If you only watch the first couple episodes, Ed doesn't show up until about 4 or 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
But Ed is like this child genius, but just happy for fucking everything. And she has a dog named Ein, who follows her around as this little corgi. And every time I see a corgi, I'm like, I just want to call it Ein. Like
it's Ein.
They're adorable, awkward little dogs. Like their bodies are too big for their legs.
Well, see, we just call Clark's Floof.
Floof, yeah.
Right. And what's even funny, Faye in Cowboy Bebop, it's like 3 or 4 episodes after Ein shows up, figures out that Ed's a girl.
Yeah.
You're a girl?
Yeah. That's just rolling with everything. Like Ed is pure joy. Like that's
yes.
Well, and all the beautiful things about childhood, the energy and the awkwardness and the joy and the excitement. Like that's one thing that's fun about working with kids is like I can't remember the last time I was excited enough about something that I squealed or jumped or clapped my hands.
Do you remember how excited you used to get for field day? Now you just think, fuck, that's a lot of time.
All the things that were fun when you were a kid in a school are miserable when you're an adult in a school. I'm just gonna put that out there. But like she just embodies all the things about childhood that are beautiful and wonderful, and
Well, there you go. There's your Cowboy Bebop reference for the day.
Yes.
Well, cool. Well, let's go into final grade.
Jamie, school is never a waste of time.
Since we have 15 minutes until recess, please put down your pencils and stare at the front of the room.
It's report card time. It's report card time. It's report card time. I'm so fucking fun.
God, please, no! 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 No!
For writing, well, I mean, they're both for Stan Sakai. Is that correct? Sakai?
Just did the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah, but we'll start out with his writing first, since we normally grade these separately. So for story and writing and whatever, what is your grade? We'll start with Miss Amy.
Are we
letter
grades?
Letter
here?
grades, yes.
Yes.
You're a principal. You can get used to that.
I would give it a good solid B+.
Okay. That's a good solid grade. Mr. Todd.
BB plus for me. I really enjoy this. The stories are somewhat basic. I mean, they're fables. They're not tightly interconnected or anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with them, and they're highly enjoyable. So BB plus.
Mr. Adam?
I'll go with an A. I actually loved it. I mean, it's it is more of a kids type book, but this is just Japanese fairy tales, just about with the Ronin and stuff. But also, it ties into my love of samurai movies and also that period of like Japanese history.
Yeah. I'm going to sit with a B just because, I mean, it is fairly childish. It was the dad jokes that kind of pushed my grade down a little bit, to be honest with you.
Really?
You love a good dad joke.
I love a good dad joke. Those are not good dad jokes.
But is Gone with the Wind better than Manny Both Hands?
No.
I love
Manny
Both Hands.
I still want that shirt.
I will make it. I was looking into Vistaprint the other day.
Were you?
Because the stage managers for the theater company, there's a line in Peter and the Starcatchers that said, I can't remember the name of it, it's like, Dorothy Chandler is a dirty slag, is basically what it is. Like, this little girl gets really angry about some other girl who's better than something at her at school. So we made a shirt that says Dorothy Chandler is a dirty slag. I remember the name of the actual character, but it's but that's what we made for the director. So I'm like, oh, I can make that shirt for Adam. So I've looked into Vistaprint for you, sir. We will make a shirt. Maybe for comics.
Or for Todd, we just get one that says CDA.
CDA, come dumpster adjacent.
That's right. Just see me.
I'm with the cum dumpster.
I'm with the cum dumpster.
I'm with CD with an arrow.
I'm with CD.
That way we can wear it in public and not like have people get
what
pissed.
What is this? We're gonna arrest you.
If you want a I'm with CD T-shirt, email me and we'll figure something out. Okay, so then for art, for the same guy, we'll go with Mr. Adam.
Again, I'm up there with an A. As I said earlier, it's really clean. It's minimalist in a sense, but you still get a lot of detail and what the story's about. And if this had been put out yesterday instead of 30 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to tell. It's still
not 30 years. Don't make me that much older.
It is. It's 32 years. But no, it feels just as fresh and new as if it came out yesterday. So.
Cool, Mr. Todd.
It's I'm going to go right there with Adam on this. Has a timelessness to it. It doesn't feel dated at all, and it's every bit as enjoyable as it's coming through. It's great.
Ms. Amy.
I'm gonna go with the group on this one. Yeah, it's got a very clean beauty to it, and it's fun, and I just like the way this is silly, but I like the way the bunny's ears are pulled up, and it kind of
tied together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a top knot.
It makes me happy in the simplest, dumbest of ways.
I think, and I wish Maya was here because he would know for sure. But didn't this character cross over with the comic books or the TV show of Ninja Turtles? Because I had
I believe so.
I had a samurai bunny action figure that I think might have been Usagi, to be honest with you.
Or it would have been based on it.
But Usagi does mean rabbit, so they could have created their own completely independent thing.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing: is that the comic books for
no, they did.
It is a crossover. Okay, see, aha.
Look at that.
You're wicked smart.
Well, they did. So the crossover in the comic actually was done a year ago this month.
But did they do?
There was an action figure back from the cartoon way back in the day.
Yeah, from the cartoon is what I had.
Because they made a new one for the crossover, but
I'm still a little heartbroken. My mom got rid of all my Ninja Turtle action figures. To be honest with you, I love those things.
She's not.
Todd still has his stuffed animals.
I do.
Nice. Did you ever make him get rid of Eeyore?
Nope,
No.
Still have Eeyore. I still have Eeyore.
God, I made him put Eeyore away.
Yep, they did. 89.
Yeah, I had that action figure. I totally had that action figure. That's awesome.
That's funny.
That makes me happy. Okay, I'm going to dissent just ever so slightly and give it an A-, just because there was a couple sequences where I had a little bit of a hard time following the art because of just the nature of the action in it. Okay, then, so overall grade, Ms. Amy.
I would give it overall an A. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Mr. Todd?
A-. Hey, I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend this to anybody. It's great.
Mr. Adam?
I'm going to go with an A. I had a blast with it. It's one that I'm excited to go actually read more, and that's on my list for when I actually have time and money to go start picking up the rest of the trades and follow the tale of this amazing little character.
Okay. And I'm going to go with an A-. I think it was really fun, and definitely something you could recommend to some kids. I have some nieces and nephews hanging out at my parents' house right now, and they might appreciate that little book. So, cool. Well, then, before we get into recommendations, let's say, hopefully we'll be back next week. Assume I can get my shit together for my feces conglomerated is what I say at work, which I said that in front of my mom, and she thought that was hilarious. So if I can get my Thesis
really good.
Conglomerated and we actually get the next episode out on time as well. Again, I apologize.
Thesis Conglomerate is also playing Warped Tour.
They are actually. That's Species Conglomerate.
Oh, okay, Conglomerate,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it's a different one.
There you go.
So,
Completely different
thing.
So next week we are going to be doing Animal Man: The Hunt, which is written by Jeff Lemire, who, as Todd and I were discussing, is the king of being able to retcon an entire series with one line of dialogue.
That's right.
So
everything you thought you knew is wrong.
So we'll be reading that. So for recommendations, who wants to go first?
So there's a game. It's been out on like PC, PS4, and Switch for a while now, but I just picked it up because it was on sale. It's called I Am Setsuna, and it's an RPG kind of like it's actually by the guys who made Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger. And if you love Chrono Trigger back from the old SNES days, this plays exactly like that. I mean, there's even moves ripped straight from that game. But it's really interesting because basically you're playing as these mercenaries and you're escorting this girl Setsuna back in the medieval times to be sacrificed to appease the monsters who are trying to kill everyone. So it's an interesting dynamic to be like where you're kind of technically the bad guy because you're taking this young, sweet, innocent girl who you're playing as to go be murdered.
So when you say taking a girl to go be sacrificed, the first thing that occurs to me is remember the movie of Jason and the Argonauts?
Yeah.
So we were watching that in school in junior high, and there's a scene where they're bathing the Virgin before they sacrifice her, and she's topless in it. And this movie came out in the 70s or whatever.
Right.
But my teacher completely missed that fact, and so I had a friend, I think his name was John Williams, actually, of all funny things. All of a sudden goes, "Hey, is that a naked woman on screen?"
That's exactly John Williams right there.
As every educator in the room runs to the screen,
She read a screen and
terrified for their
a
license.
file folder in front of it. It was way too late. We'd all seen boobies in school. It was a great moment of my childhood. Anyway, sorry.
I that's
fine. That's hilarious.
John was a great guy. He was the kind of guy in high school. He got an A in every class and a U.
Yeah.
And every class as
crazy,
well.
brilliant, smart, but just did not give a fuck. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like just he had a stepfather who had a bad toupee and gray hair on the side, gray fringe, named Garth. And we had a Garth fan club because he'd come back and tell us stories about his stepdad Garth. Like it was just one. And when I remember we did like a some sort of class presentation in elementary school, and Garth showed up. We were all excited to get a look at Garth. We were like,
we got to look at Garth.
We got to see Garth. This was great. Yeah, it was really funny. He's like, I don't know if anybody went up to say, "Hi Garth, nice to meet you. I'm a really big fan," but I don't think anybody did it. We were in 6th grade or whatever. But yeah. John was a funny dude. Do you have a recommendation?
I had recommended it a while ago, but it actually showed up now. Related note, it's called A Quick and Easy Guide to They, Them Pronouns. And it's a little graphic novel of if you're not quite sure and you're trying to become more open's not quite the right word, but
woke, yeah.
Woke is the word. It's of
if you're a cis white male and you want to be woke, or
you want to be woke,
female, yeah.
It's just this quick and easy little read of understanding pronouns. So, hi, I'm Todd, and my pronouns are him and he.
Yes.
Actually, what's funny is Grindr lets you do that now because Grindr actually is doing more with like trans people and stuff.
Sure.
And so my pronoun is dude.
Dude. What's up, dude?
I like dude. Sort of like my religious beliefs on Facebook are don't be a dick. My political views on Facebook are don't be a dick.
I think my religious view says no, thank you.
Cool. Not starting the best. Amy, do you have a recommendation, or you don't have to have one?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with another children's book starring a rabbit that also won Eisner Awards.
Okay.
I know, but El Defo. If you're looking for a comic book series or a comic book that is appropriate to hand to kids, and I would give this one to even younger kids. But it's about the author. I'm pretty sure the author had a hearing impairment growing up, and so she grew up and wrote a semi-autobiographical story about she had a hearing device that the teacher would wear a microphone too.
I had a teacher, or I had a student in my school who had that too.
So she winds up playing this up as her superhero power because when the teacher left the room, she could always tell when the teacher was going to come back and could warn the other kids.
That's awesome.
And it plays it out in a really nice, sweet, cute way. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think I've mentioned earlier on the show, but I'll recommend Cat Shit One, sort of. If you want sort of a really, it's very great. I mean, for the time I remember, it's probably it's probably at least 5 or 6 years old now. But the graphics at the time were really great. But if you want to watch rabbits just shoot guns and swear a lot, it's kind of fun. So yeah. Cool. Well, I think that will do it for this week. So once again, we will be back next week with Animal Man. And I think that's it. So cool. Thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Amy doesn't say anything.
So that happened. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. This band of knuckleheads will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr as Funny Books and Firewater, and on Twitter as @FirewaterCast. Go to funnybooksandfirewater.com for the most up-to-date information, as well as cocktail recipes from this and past episodes. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, support your local comic shop, tip your bartender well, and stay hydrated.